All right, we've been cracking open the vault of background screening data. Now, we've tackled counties, statewide repositories, and now it's time to go big, the federal court data. Now, this is the stuff of black SUVs, serious crimes, and records that could save your company or organization from disaster. So buckle up. This is a wild one. Now, picture this. You're out with friends having a good time when suddenly, boom, black SUVs screech to a halt, guys in blue jackets with 3 big letters on the back, FBI, DEA, ATF jump out. Now, you're not in a county sheriff squad car anymore. This is federal territory. Federal courts handling the heavy hitters, drug trafficking, fraud, terrorism. But here's the kicker. It's only about 3 to 5% of the U.S. criminal cases are federal. That's a tiny slice, but it's the kind of slice that can sink your company if you miss it, especially for high security jobs. So let's talk about that. What's in the federal court data? These records cover convictions and sentences, and they're a gold mine for catching serious crimes that don't show up in county or state records. Do you want to know what kind of charges we're talking about? Embrace yourself. This list, and it's long, is a wake-up call. Drug offenses like trafficking, manufacturing, distribution across state lines. Then there's fraud with wire fraud, mail fraud, securities fraud, tax evasion, financial crimes like money laundering, embezzlement, and even Ponzi schemes. Cyber crimes like hacking, identity theft, online extortion, weapons violations like illegal firearms, trafficking, and possession by felons, immigration offenses like human smuggling, or terrorism, domestic and international plots. Believe it or not, that's all in there. Public corruption, bribery, kickbacks by officials, and even environmental crimes like illegal dumping or wildlife trafficking, and civil rights violations like hate crimes. Counterfeiting, like fake money or forged documents. This isn't your county level DUI shoplifting rap sheet. These are high stakes crimes, and most people assume they're in some national database when you have that searched. And here it is, spoiler alert, they're not in there. Those are a list of bad charges, tough charges, and they're not in that national database. And you'll see why when we talk about databases later, but trust me, this is why federal searches are a must for your organization. Now, getting this data is not easy. You use public systems like PACER, which is the Public Access to Court Electronic Records, or the U.S. Sentencing Commission, or third-party services. PACER is a beast. You search by name, then wade through PDF court documents to find identifiers, looking for something like a name, middle names, addresses, birth dates. It's like reading a legal novel, actually, trying to figure out if it's your guy. At Bchex, or at my company, we use tech to scan those PDFs and pull key info. But even then, it's labor intensive. Our staff, they get sucked into the drama of these PDF documents, reading case details like it's some Netflix story, shouting, "Wait, he did what?" It's a real problem keeping them focused on matching records and not storytelling. So listen to this. We had a retailer client with hundreds of stores, super focused on price when they came to us, saying, "Our current vendor service stinks, but we want this exact search. Cheap." We gave them what they asked for. No federal search, because they didn't want the extra cost. A year later, their senior vice president called, screaming. A new hire showed up for their first day of job wearing an ankle monitor. It turns out they had a federal conviction for fraud. A federal search would have caught it, but they skipped it to save a few bucks. HR got embarrassed. The VP was angry. And here's another one. A former accountant turned financial advisor decides to scam seniors with a fake annuity company. Now, he pockets their cash, gets caught, and awaits trial on federal fraud charges. While he's out, he applies to a big staffing firm specialized in accounting. And guess what? They hire him as a temporary controller for another company. No federal search, no red flag. He's handling millions of dollars before anyone notices. A federal search would have stopped that. Now, that was a train wreck, and it would have stopped it dead in its tracks. Why do so many skip federal searches? 2 reasons, really. One, they're hard, labor heavy, time consuming, and they're not cheap. And 2, Buyers ask the wrong questions. They say, what's the standard search? What's everyone else doing? What's the price? Nobody asks, what's the best search I can do? In 15 years and 40 million screens in this business, I can count on one hand the folks who've led with quality over cost. That's why federal data is overlooked. Even though it's your best shot at catching serious crimes outside someone's home county or crimes that never hit county records at all. So here's a mission. Make federal searches part of your arsenal, especially for high security roles. They're tough, but they're worth it. Work with a partner who gets it, not just a vendor chasing the lowest price. You're not just screening here. You're saving your company from the next ankle monitor disaster. All right, so that's module 3. That's lesson 5. Next, we're going to dive into sex offender registries. Now stick with me. You're getting to be unstoppable.